Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, viewers, wherever you are. This Wednesday afternoon here in Kenya, in Laikipia County, in Nanyuki. It is a wonderful day, beautiful environment. I believe you are also enjoying the weather wherever you are. Today, I welcome you all. Yes, in this episode, yesterday we were talking about leading passionate employees. So, if an employee exists, definitely the employer exists. Now, before we get into this topic, I want to share a little bit of what happened sometimes back, where I was working. The year is 2009. The year is 2009, and investors, this story, I want you to take it very serious. When you are growing up your business, when you have just begun your company, and you have, of course, this story rotates around private companies. In short, family businesses. Why? Because family businesses, the directors are the father, the mother, and the children. And you find most of the time the directors' meetings are held at home in the sitting room or in the dining room. When they are taking their dinner, they are at the same time holding their board meetings, and decisions are made at home. Now, the year is 2009. Just like I have mentioned, I was working with a company in Thika, the company that was exporting flowers. And now we had a young man who was the son to the owner of the company. This young man was sent in the UK through the sponsorship of the customer, through arrangement of the customer, to go and study there a degree in mass communication, because he was so good in English. The son had done so well in English. Now, when the son went to UK, instead of studying, he engaged himself in drugs. These hard drugs. And the son was apparently deported from UK back to Kenya. Now, when the son came to Kenya, because the father is running a thriving business, the son was absorbed into the company as a marketing manager. Now, when the son came, apparently yesterday, as I was telling you, the company was on a downward trend. When we were discussing about leading passionate employees, the company was on a downward trend. So what happened? Because we could not issue checks to suppliers because of our cash flow issues, the son was given 350,000 to go and purchase packaging materials so that we can package the product and send to our customers. Remember, we had already booked the flight so that we can send our consignment. Instead of the son going to purchase the packing materials, the son made his way from Thika to Nakuru. Now, while at Nakuru, the son, just like the prodigal son in the Bible, consumed the money with liquor, with alcohol. And the whole 350,000 was almost consumed. Now, when we started looking for the packaging material, the son had made a phone call to another company in Nairobi to give us some packing material. Because now of the relationship between the father, who was the director, and the other director of the other company, they were so close. So the company lent us some packing material so that we can send our consignment. 2 days down the line, the son has gone missing. So we now begin looking for the son. When we had some information that his vehicle is parked outside a certain club in Nakuru. And when we went, true to the information we got, the vehicle was parked there, and inside the vehicle was 120,000. So the son, in 2 days, he had already consumed 230,000. So the son came back because the business belongs to the father. Again, he was engaged. We continued with the business as usual. Now, the problem with this son, he was not brought up in a way that sometimes things are difficult. Everything was just there. Everything was just there. So even the house that he was living in, he could not pay rent. When we pay him the salary, just one day, the money is already consumed. Until we began joking, just as employees making jokes, that fulani wa fulani hawezi lala nyumba moja na pesa. Either pesa iko nje, yeye yuko ndani, or money is inside, he is outside. Because if he has money in his pocket, he just becomes wild. So we reached at a point we could deduct the house rent from his salary, go pay his rent, and the remaining amount sent to his account, so that even if he misuses, the house rent is paid. Now, it reached at a point. Now he began even bringing girlfriends into his father's house without even considering that this is his father's house. He could stay there, and the father also wants to come in. So there was problems. So in this episode, viewers, I want to tell you, I want to suggest to you that even if you have a business, please bring up your child with good morals. Because such like a child, how can you leave your company? How can you leave your business to such like a person who is careless with his life? How? How, investors? You can't. So, in this episode, welcome viewers. I will begin in the words of Koromaya fans. They usually say, anytime they have lost the game, they say they have postponed winning. So today, I want us to discuss about passionate employers, passionate directors, passionate managers. It is said, leaders were born, leaders were not made. Because there are people, yes, they don't have master's degrees, PhDs, degrees, but they are leading successful businesses. So there are those inborn qualities of a leader. There are those inborn values that a leader requires, that some people were born with. And when they come, even if without education, they lead the company to high levels, to success. Now, the first factor that we are talking about as a leader, you need to be a servant. You need to be a servant. You are not supposed to be a boss. Bosses all the time, they dictate things. Bosses all the time, they are dictators. But leaders are servants. Do not be a dictator. Be a leader. Leaders are diplomats. Leaders negotiate. Leaders, when they are directing, they use democracy. They don't use dictatorship. So as a leader, even in the Bible, Jesus was a leader. Jesus was not a common person, but he went down, he went low to the position of a normal man. He went so low so that he can be a servant. Even until we find he washed his disciples' feet. See, is that not a servant? So as a leader, you are supposed to be a servant. You are not supposed to be a dictator. You are supposed to be at the level of your employees. There should not be a gap, a big gap, a wide gap between your employees and yourself. Because if you create such a gap, it means even when employees have issues, when employees want to pass information, they want to communicate, they want to give you feedback, they will not reach you. They cannot sit on one table with you. Just like parents at home, you should not be lions in the house and lionesses in the house. Because if you are a lion and you are a lioness, your children will be gazelles. And if they are gazelles, every time when we go to the wilderness, if you go to the game park, every time a gazelle sees a lion, what happens? It runs away. Or it was trained like that. Every time it sees a lion, it must run away. So, as a leader, you should be a servant. And if you are a servant, you have bridged the gap between yourself and your employees. And every time you want to get information, they can share with you freely because you are part of them. Now, another factor that we are going to discuss here is inspiring employees. Now, as a leader, you need to inspire your employees. You need to motivate them. You need to make them, when they are working, they are feeling the environment is good. So you need to inspire them. If you have an employee who is not capacitated in a certain field, an employee that doesn't have knowledge for specific need, you better take that employee for training. You better take that employee for capacity building. You better take that employee for motivation, maybe outside work, so that they can be able to produce. So a good leader, a passionate leader must inspire the employees, must influence the employees in a positive way. Another factor that we are going to discuss here is leading by examples. A leader has to lead by example, because you cannot be telling people to drink water and you are taking wine. No, a leader, you need to lead by example, because when you lead by example, anything that you tell your employees, anything that you direct your employees, they'll be able to do it, because they know whatever the leader is telling us is able to do it. So therefore, as a leader, you should be able to lead by example, because you are the role model in any case. You are as a director, as a manager, as the owner of the business, you are the role model of that business. So therefore, a leader should be a role model, should lead by example. Don't be an employer that when you ask your employees, if you have your own business, should your employee emulate your characters? And the answer to your employees, they say no, because you are not well behaved, because you don't have good manners. You use your opposition to oppress. You use your ability to demean your employees, to demoralize them. To an example, you abuse them. Lead by an example. Now, another factor that we discussed in this episode is visionary. A leader should be a visionary person. A leader should be one who is carrying the vision. Now, it is you who has the vision of where you want your business to go. It is you who knows where your company should be in 10 years, in 5 years, or wherever the time it should be. So it is you who has the vision. Now, as a leader, you need to cultivate what we call organizational culture in your employees, so that they know that our leader wants us to be in this place, such and such a time, in that position, in such and such a time. So a leader should have vision. So if you are leading without a vision, somebody said, if you don't know where you are going, every place you go is the right place. So as a leader, you should have a sense of direction. You have a vision of the business. Because if you don't have the business, even if the business is going down, you are still okay. If the business is going up, you are still okay. Even if your business is at the break-even point, you are still okay. So, as a leader, you need to have the vision of where you want to be in a certain time, in a certain period. So another factor that we are going to discuss in this episode is critical thinking and strategic planning. Now, as a leader, you must be a critical thinker. You must be a critical thinker. Why? There are situations that will come up in the business There are circumstances under which, let's say, economic factors that will come into your business. In this case, we are talking about SWOT analysis. You need to understand the strength of your company, the weakness of your company, and the opportunities that are available, and the threats to your business. So if you're not a strategic planner, you're not a critical thinker, how will you run your business? How will you make your business to thrive? So as a leader, you need to be a strategic planner, and you should be a critical thinker. Because if you are not a critical thinker, you are not a strategic planner, how will you know the strength of your organization? How will you understand that your company has this kind of strength? For example, in terms of market satisfaction, how do you know that you are able to satisfy your customers? In terms of production capacity, how do you know that you have that strength, or your company has that strength to produce the desired volumes, the desired quality of your customers? Now, weaknesses. How will you know that your company is weak when it comes to human resource? How will you know that your company has weak systems? How will you know that your company cannot run whenever you are there? Every time as a leader, you don't have a system. It means you are the system. You are the business. Because anytime you walk away, the business goes down. So, as a leader, you need to make sure that you know the weakness, the strength. Now, if you are not a critical thinker, how will you know the opportunities that are available for your business? How will you know? And how will you know the threats that are posing a challenge, posing a risk to your business? So as a leader, you must be a critical thinker. Another one, you must be a person who is able to make decisions. As a leader, you must be able to make decisions. Sometimes tough times calls for tough decisions, because if you are not able to make decisions, you are a leader who is going to make decisions on your behalf. You are a leader of that business who is going to make those tough decisions on your behalf. So as a leader, make sure you have the capacity to make decisions. Let's say the company is going down. The company is going down. So how will you make decisions that will make this company to go up? How will you make decisions to make the company to go up? So as a leader, you must be able to make decisions. For example, if you want to finance your business through a loan, and you are not able to make that decision of borrowing, who will make that decision for you? Another thing, if you want your company to go to another geographical location, to expand and enter to other geographical locations, and you cannot make that decision, who will make that decision for you? So another factor, another quality of a leader, you must be able to make decisions. Another quality, you must be able to make decisions for your company. That is why you are there. You are there to make decisions. You are not there just to be seen, but you are there to make decisions. So a leader must be able to make those decisions. He must. Now, you must be dependable as a leader. You must be responsible enough and dependable. You must. As a leader, you are supposed to be dependable by stakeholders. Now, the company, the stakeholders are quite a number. For example, the government is a stakeholder to your business. Employees are stakeholders to your business. Customers are stakeholders to your business. Suppliers are stakeholders to your business. So, if you are a leader, you are not dependable. Where will these stakeholders seek refuge in your business? How? The government is depending on you, that whatever you are reporting in terms of finances is correct, is authentic. There is no creative accounting, because the government is interested in you to pay taxes. So the government depends on you that the reports you are giving are true. Now, about the suppliers, they depend on you because their business depends on your company. So if you are the person leading that company and you don't pay them well, you don't have a good cash flow, how will they depend on your organization to continuously supply you? So it is always good as a leader to be dependable by your suppliers. How about the customers? The customers depend on you because when they have given you an order, they are sure you are a responsible leader, you will be able to satisfy the order. You don't take orders that you cannot satisfy. So as a leader, you are supposed to be dependable. Now, there is another factor that we are going to discuss in this level. Confidence. Confidence. As a leader, you must have confidence. Now, confidence in your team. Because there is no way you are leading and you don't have confidence. You don't have trust. You don't have hope in your people. If you don't have trust in your people, how will they hold your hand as you journey in the business? Even in the biblical context, Moses, when the Israelites were at war, people had to come and hold his hands to raise his hands up so that the Israelites can get victory in the battlefield, so that Israelites can get victory in the war. So as a leader, you must have confidence, you must have trust in the people that you are leading. Because if you don't trust your employees, who will you trust? If you don't trust your suppliers to give you the products, who will you trust? If you don't trust your customers, if you don't trust your financials, who will you trust? So as a leader, you must have confidence in the people that are with you. You must have confidence in them. And finally, as I close this episode, viewers, I want to finish by giving you something that happened sometimes back when I joined the organization that I gave you an example of. There was one leader, and this is now your homework. I want you to give me views and comments what lacked in that leader. I want you to help me understand what was the problem, because it also disturbed me so much. Now, once there was a leader in our department, and when I landed in this company, the company was on a downward trend, as I mentioned to you. The company that was in the large tax office of KRA, going down, even now it is supposed to be taken to a medium tax office. But because it was in the large tax office, one of the large taxpayers in this land, the KRA came to audit, to inspect, to ascertain that it is true the company is declining, that it is true the taxes it is disclosing, it is true. So now when I just landed in that company, the second day, KRA sent us a letter that they are coming to do an assessment. Now, this manager, because he never wanted to go and deal with KRA, to have a sitting with KRA when they do inspection, he was my boss, he was my manager, he was my leader. He took me to go and now go and sit with a KRA as they do audit. Now remember, I was just a junior person. I had never done any accounting apart from being in school. I don't know what is debit, I don't know what is credit, I don't know what is a journal, I don't know what is a ledger. I don't know. Apart from learning them in school, apart from theoretic knowledge that I had. And we were using pastel accounting. I don't know where to reproduce these things. And the KRA team wants them. They want those ledgers to evaluate. He told me, when they ask you, just tell them you are green, you know nothing. You are just coming from the farm. So don't give them anything. Is that the correct thing to do, viewers? Is that the way to do an audit? Is that the way to do an assessment? I believe not. Now, there was another character of this leader. When you just leave his office, Maybe he has sent you to town or he has sent you somewhere. When he will just vanish from his place, when you try to call him, he will never take your call. When suppliers calls, maybe asking for the money, he will never pick. When the banks call, he will never pick. When the customers call, he will never pick the call. He was known for that character. He could not pick the call of anyone, including employees. I thought you can refuse to pick a call of the bank, refuse to take the call of the customer, refuse to call the call of a supplier, but you can never stop picking the call of an employee because he is part of your team. So this man used to never picking our calls. So I do not know what was the problem with him, because as an employee, I'm not demanding anything from him. And in any case, if it is not at the end of the month, there is nothing I can demand. But he could not pick our calls. Viewers, I want to close this episode at that point so that you can also do a critical thinking. What lacked in this leader? What lacked in my boss? I don't know if he was a leader or he was a boss. So today, as you go home, I want you to do that and help me understand what was his problem. So thank you so much, viewers, and I appreciate your time. I don't take it for granted because it's not a must that you can listen to me, but you have chose to listen to me. So thank you so much, and I welcome you in our next episode. Thank you so much. From here, it's a bye.